According to the National Electrical Code, specifically Section 230.90a, all conductors entering a building from the outside must be protected at the point of entry against overcurrent. This requirement is further clarified in Section 230.90b, which mandates that this overcurrent protection be provided by a circuit breaker or a fuse. When considering a scenario where a 320 amp meter base is located on a metal garage, with a 200 amp feed running to a QO panel inside the garage, and there is a desire to extend a 200 amp feed to a new house approximately 200 feet away directly from the meter base's double barrel logs without overcurrent protection at the source, it is essential to address the code implications. The existing 200 amp feed to the garage panel, if compliant, likely adheres to the tap rule, which allows for reduced conductor sizes under specific conditions, provided certain criteria are met, such as the length of the tap, the ampacity of the tap conductors, and the overcurrent protection at the termination point. However, the proposed 200 amp feed to the new house does not fall under the tap rule because firstly, it serves a separate building, and secondly, it exceeds the tap rule's maximum distance allowance, which is generally 25 feet. The absence of overcurrent protection at the meter base for the feed to the new house constitutes a code violation and poses safety risks. Several solutions can be implemented to ensure code compliance and electrical safety. One approach is to install a 200 amp fuse disconnect at the meter base. This involves placing a disconnect switch equipped with 200 amp fuses at the point where the feed to the new house originates. The fuses will provide overcurrent protection, safeguarding the conductors against overload and short circuit conditions. A second option is to install a 200 amp panel with a main breaker at the meter base. This involves installing a small panel board with a 200 amp main circuit breaker. The feed to the new house would then originate from this panel, with the 200 amp main breaker serving as the required overcurrent protection. A third possibility is to install a separate meter base for the new house. This involves arranging with the utility company to install a dedicated meter base for the new dwelling. A separate feed would then run from the utility transformer to the new meter base, providing an independent electrical service for the house. This approach eliminates the need to tap off the existing meter base and ensures compliance with overcurrent protection requirements. When evaluating these solutions, several factors should be considered. The fuse disconnect offers a simple and cost-effective means of providing overcurrent protection. However, it requires manual intervention to restore power after a fuse blows. The panel with a main breaker provides overcurrent protection and also offers additional circuit capacity for future expansion. However, it is more expensive than a fuse disconnect. Installing a separate meter base provides an independent electrical service for the new house, which may be desirable in certain situations. However, it involves coordination with the utility company and may incur additional costs. From an electrical engineering standpoint, the selection of overcurrent protection devices, such as fuses and circuit breakers, is critical to ensure the safety and reliability of electrical systems. Fuses are single-use devices that interrupt the flow of current when a predetermined threshold is exceeded. They are typically less expensive than circuit breakers but require replacement after each overcurrent event. Circuit breakers are reusable devices that can be reset after tripping. They offer convenience and can provide more sophisticated protection features, such as ground fault protection. When selecting fuses or circuit breakers, it is essential to consider the ampacity of the conductors being protected, the interrupting rating of the device, and the coordination between different overcurrent protection devices in the system. The ampacity of the conductors must be equal to or greater than the rating of the overcurrent protection device. The interrupting rating of the device must be sufficient to safely interrupt the maximum available fault current at that location in the system. Coordination between overcurrent protection devices ensures that the device closest to the fault opens first, minimizing the impact on the rest of the system. In addition to overcurrent protection, grounding and bonding are essential for electrical safety. Grounding provides a low impedance path for fault current to return to the source, facilitating the operation of overcurrent protection devices. Bonding ensures that all metallic parts of the electrical system are electrically connected, minimizing the risk of electric shock. The National Electrical Code provides detailed requirements for grounding and bonding, which must be followed to ensure electrical safety. The size of grounding and bonding conductors is based on the size of the service entrance conductors. The grounding electrode system must be properly installed and maintained to provide an effective ground path. All metallic parts of the electrical system, such as conduit, enclosures, and equipment frames, must be bonded together. Furthermore, surge protection is also an important consideration, especially in areas prone to lightning strikes or power surges. Surge protective devices, or SPDs, protect sensitive electronic equipment from voltage transients that can damage or destroy them. SPD are typically installed at the service entrance and at branch panels to provide comprehensive surge protection. The selection of SPD should be based on the voltage and current characteristics of the electrical system, as well as the sensitivity of the equipment being protected. SPD should be properly grounded to provide an effective path for surge currents to dissipate. Regular inspection and testing of SPD are necessary to ensure their continued effectiveness. Moreover, arc fault circuit interrupters, or SIs, are devices that detect arc faults, which are a common cause of electrical fires. SIs are required by the National Electrical Code in many areas of the home, such as bedrooms and living rooms. SIs work by monitoring the current waveform for characteristics that indicate an arc fault. When an arc fault is detected, the SI trips, interrupting the flow of current and preventing a fire. SIs provide an additional layer of protection against electrical fires. They should be properly installed and tested to ensure their proper operation. In addition to these safety measures, proper wiring practices are essential for electrical safety. All wiring connections should be made tightly and securely. Conductors should be properly sized for the load they are carrying. Insulation should be in good condition and free from damage. Wiring should be protected from physical damage. Electrical boxes should be properly installed and grounded. These practices will help to prevent electrical hazards and ensure the safe operation of electrical systems. When working with electricity, it is essential to follow all safety precautions. Always turn off the power before working on electrical circuits. Use insulated tools and equipment. Wear appropriate personal protective equipment, such as safety glasses and gloves. Never work alone. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a qualified electrician. These precautions will help to prevent electrical injuries and fatalities. Furthermore, regular maintenance of electrical systems is essential for safety and reliability. Electrical panels should be inspected regularly for signs of corrosion, damage, or overheating. Circuit breakers should be tested periodically to ensure they are operating properly. Wiring connections should be checked for tightness. Grounding and bonding connections should be inspected for corrosion. Surge protective devices should be tested to ensure they are functioning properly. These maintenance tasks will help to identify and correct potential problems before they lead to electrical hazards or equipment failures. To reiterate the key points, when extending a 200 amp feed to a new house from an existing meter base, overcurrent protection must be provided at the source. This can be achieved by installing a fuse disconnect, a panel with a main breaker, or a separate meter base for the new house. The selection of the appropriate solution will depend on various factors such as cost, convenience, and future needs. Regardless of the solution chosen, it is essential to comply with all applicable codes and standards to ensure electrical safety. Always prioritize safety when working with electricity, and consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns. The National Electrical Code is a comprehensive set of standards that governs the safe installation and maintenance of electrical systems. It is updated every 3 years to reflect the latest advances in technology and safety practices. The NEC is adopted by most states and local jurisdictions, and it serves as the basis for electrical inspections. Compliance with the NEC is essential for ensuring electrical safety and preventing electrical hazards. Electrical inspections are conducted by qualified inspectors to verify that electrical installations comply with the NEC. Inspections are typically required for new construction, renovations, and repairs. The inspection process involves a visual examination of the electrical system to identify any code violations or safety hazards. If violations are found, the inspector will issue a notice of violation, which must be corrected before the installation can be approved. Electrical permits are required for most electrical work. Permits ensure that the work is performed by qualified individuals and that it complies with the NEC. The permit process involves submitting plans and specifications for the proposed work to the local building department. The building department will review the plans and issue a permit if they meet the requirements of the NEC. Inspections are typically required after the work is completed to verify that it was performed in accordance with the approved plans and the NEC. Hiring a qualified electrician is essential for ensuring electrical safety. Electricians are trained and experienced in the installation and maintenance of electrical systems. They are familiar with the NEC and other applicable codes and standards. They have the tools and equipment necessary to perform electrical work safely and efficiently. When hiring an electrician, it is important to check their credentials and references. Make sure they are licensed and insured. Ask for examples of their previous work. Get a written estimate before the work begins. By following these tips, you can ensure that you hire a qualified electrician who will perform the work safely and to code. Furthermore, electrical safety training is important for anyone who works with electricity. Training courses are available for electricians, maintenance personnel, and other workers who may be exposed to electrical hazards. These courses cover topics such as electrical safety principles, hazard recognition, lockout/tie-out procedures, and personal protective equipment. Completing a safety training course can help to prevent electrical injuries and fatalities. In summary, ensuring electrical safety requires a multifaceted approach that includes compliance with the NEC, proper installation practices, regular maintenance, and ongoing training. By following these guidelines, you can minimize the risk of electrical hazards and create a safe electrical environment. Always prioritize safety when working with electricity, and consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns. The information provided here is intended for educational purposes only and should not be considered a substitute for professional advice. Electrical work should only be performed by qualified individuals who are familiar with the NEC and other applicable codes and standards. The specific requirements of the NEC may vary depending on the jurisdiction, so it is important to consult with the local building department to determine the applicable requirements. The electrical system should be designed to meet the specific needs of the building and the occupants. The system should be properly grounded and bonded to minimize the risk of electric shock. Overcurrent protection devices should be sized to protect the conductors and equipment from overload and short-circuit conditions. Wiring should be installed in accordance with the NEC and other applicable codes and standards. The electrical boxes should be properly installed and grounded. Wiring connections should be made tightly and securely. The electrical system should be inspected regularly to identify any potential problems. Any problems should be corrected promptly to prevent electrical hazards.